No takes for green skull.
Ready up live.
Ready up live. Ready up live.
Hey guys, it's Minolta 1034 here, and I wanted to do another video that just talked about some of the other aspects of the Xbox One, not just the DRM like I did in my last one. First off, I want to discuss the Kinect is spying on me rumor, idea, whatever. I see it in comments all the time on forums, even the comments on my last video about the Xbox One DRM. There were a lot of people that said, oh, the Kinect is always on, it's always listening to you, the NSA is going to have all of your secrets, and I just don't think that's true. I mean, I realized that this whole NSA scandal was a big deal, and it's scary, the idea that they were wiretapping a lot of people. But at the same time, I feel like now that the scandal has come out, it is unlikely that they will be doing things like that again. Now, you might be saying to me things like, oh, it doesn't matter if you think that they're not going to do that again. They still could, and that's what scares me. And fair enough. I understand that they could technically, if they wanted to, somehow hack in or wiretap your Kinect. Now, again, this would take a significant amount of work. And so in order to get all the way in there, someone would have to get your IP address, break in. It would be, what I'm saying is, a considerable amount of effort for either the government or for a hacker or an independent person who was interested in breaking into your Kinect. Now, let's look at why they would do this. Well, I mean, the government, while it's scary how much it was wiretapping people, and it's definitely scary that some of it might not have been for people that were doing criminal things, why would they wiretap you? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's definitely scary that they could, but what it always comes down to, and when anyone says something like that to me, it's why would you care, right? Technically, the Kinect isn't the only system in your possession that has a camera, a microphone, that kind of thing. The first thing that comes to mind is your cell phone. Your cell phone has a camera on it. It's probably got a front and a back camera, and it has a microphone to pick up everything you're saying. It's already possible for someone to break into your cell phone, monitor the mic input, monitor the camera output, and see everything you're doing. If they wanted to do that, they could, because, I mean, everyone has a cell phone at this point. And so the way that I look at it is, if you've got a cell phone, you have no excuse to say, oh, I don't want to connect because it's going to spy on me. You've pretty much got to accept the fact that we live in a world where there's cameras everywhere, there's microphones everywhere, technology is very persistent. I mean, there's a camera on your laptop probably, right? There's a microphone built into your laptop probably, and you've got one of those. It's the same sort of idea as the Kinect. It's not like the Kinect is one specific malicious device. All of these devices are accessible by hackers or by the government, but both of those groups would have to expend a considerable amount of effort to break into them. If a hacker wanted to get into your phone or your Kinect or your laptop, they would have to take considerable steps in order to get your IP address, break in past the firewall that your router or your modem most likely has, and find that device, set up things on it in order to record the information and send it out to them somewhere. I'm talking a ton of work here. Now, why would someone do that to you personally? That's the question you have to ask. Me, I mean, I'm not a rich man. I don't have millions of dollars in the bank. The only reason that someone might want to do that to me is to screw with me somehow, because I do YouTube videos and stuff, or to humiliate me in some way because they think that I wronged them. But I feel like that's even more than the average person. I feel like the average person, probably most of you out there watching the video, don't have millions of dollars in the bank, don't have people that hate you enough to try to record your movements and catch you in the act of doing something that's wrong or gross or weird or whatever. And so I just don't see why any hacker out there would go through the effort of breaking into your personal information like that. You just don't have enough to offer them when they could target someone that has millions and millions of dollars and steal from them. Or some big celebrity like Kim Kardashian, so you can get pictures of her boobies and put them on the internet. Someone who's targeting you needs motivation to do so. And I just don't think that the average person, which is to say like 95% of people out there, just don't have the resources or the status or the merit to be hacked in that way. It just doesn't make sense to me. Sure, the Kinect has a camera that can see in night vision mode. Yeah, you want to know why it does that? It's so that it can see you when you have the lights off, when maybe you're watching Netflix and you want to do motion gestures, or maybe the lights are low in your room, like you don't have adequate lighting, and so it can boost it up and see things a little bit better. It's for usability. It's not to spy on you. It's not this evil device that was installed in your house to keep track of all your secrets because Microsoft is like a giant corporation that's trying to monopolize global information or something like that. That's just not true. We don't live in a James Bond film. This is real life. Steve Ballmer does not care how many times you scratch your nuts while you're playing Call of Duty. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the Xbox One's hardware, specifically its comparison to the PlayStation 4. Now, we already know that both consoles are running 8 gigs of RAM with very similar CPU and GPU setups. However, the main difference between the two is DDR3 in the Xbox One versus DDR5 RAM in the PlayStation 4. What do these differences mean? It essentially means that the PlayStation 4 has a slightly larger bandwidth to process information. It can process the information to and from the RAM a little bit faster than the Xbox One can. Now, when you compare the two directly, I don't think you're going to see that much difference between most games. It's most likely the developers, because both systems are so similar, they're probably going to build the game to utilize about the same amount of resources in each console. So that means when you play most games, they're not going to look that much better on one system or the other. Yes, there is a slight difference, and so that means that console-specific games are going to be a little bit different, but even that isn't going to create a huge world of difference between these two consoles. Comparing the tech specs is just, at this point to me, seems kind of moot. It doesn't really work, and it's not going to tell you if you're going to be getting a better console or a worse console. It makes much more sense to look at the features and functionality of the consoles as well as the games you're going to get. If you really love Halo, you should probably stick with an Xbox, but if you're a big, Killzone fan or something like that, or you really like Uncharted, maybe you should go the PlayStation route. The other thing that's been brought up is the fact that the Xbox One's RAM, 3 gigs of it are actually being reserved for the operating system, whereas on the PlayStation 4, only 1 gig is being reserved for the OS. Now, that does mean that the PlayStation 4 technically has 2 more gigs of RAM to work with, but like I said, because the systems are so similar, it's possible that developers will build a cross-platform title that'll just utilize about 5 gigabytes of RAM, because that way they don't have to do a lot of extra work in the differences between the architecture. That's not to say the developers, when they get their PlayStation 4 builds of games together, couldn't utilize the extra RAM to give you a little bit of extra graphics or special effects. It's absolutely possible. But is it going to be that big of a difference between the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4? It seems very unlikely right now. If you talk to anyone in the gaming field, they're saying about the same thing, that you're not going to see a huge graphical difference between these two consoles. The other thing I want to point out is the fact that Microsoft is giving 3 gigs to the OS where PlayStation is only giving 1 could actually be a good thing for Microsoft. Now, Xbox owners, you might not know this, but if you're on a PlayStation 3, you can't party chat. It doesn't exist. I personally love party chat. I can go into a party, play a game that I want to play, but chat with whoever I want, and they could be doing completely different things. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think that it's an awesome feature that the PlayStation 3 doesn't have. And you want to know why it doesn't have it? Because they didn't allocate enough RAM to the PlayStation operating system. The PlayStation operating system doesn't have enough resources to allow party chat to happen in between games. Now, I love the OS features that just the 360 has. I like party chat. I like the ability to listen to my own music. I like all of that stuff. So the idea that the 3 gigs are just going to reinforce more cool new OS features, like for instance, Skype calls when you're in games, or even better than this, recording your gameplay and uploading it to Twitch or other places. I mean, I want that to be as smooth as possible because I plan to do a lot of that kind of stuff. So it just makes sense to me to give more resources to that side of the OS so that all of that functionality works smoothly. Now, I understand, I hear you. You might be saying, oh, Minolta, I'm a gamer. I don't want Skype calls and I don't want Netflix. I just want to play games and that's it. That's all I want to do. Okay, I get it. I understand that. What you want to do is you want to never buy a console ever again. You want to go out, you want to buy a PC, and you want to just install Windows, nothing else, and Steam, and you can play just games with as much of your system resources as possible. Now, that might be great for some people, but you know what? There's a lot of other people out there that, they like Skype calls. They like, streaming on Twitch. They like the DVR functionality. They like movies. They like all sorts of different things that these consoles are bringing. Because consoles can't just be gaming machines forever. They have to branch out and evolve, just like any other technology. So unfortunately, hardcore straight gamers that don't ever want any of these other functions, you're just not going to be able to buy consoles forever. You should just go to PC gaming. That's fine. And I get that. I have a PC for gaming. I use it all the time. It's a lot of fun. But I also have a console because I like those features. I like console games specifically, like console exclusives like Halo 4. So I don't have a problem with the OS taking up 3 gigs because there is a lot of stuff on there that I will probably be using. Not to mention the fact that the Kinect is run through the OS, and so you need the information to process that. Now, again, you might say, oh, I hate the Kinect. I don't want to use the Kinect. Motion controls are dumb. And while I agree that a lot of motion control games aren't super great, they still have a niche audience that is growing. The Wii really popularized that. So it wouldn't make sense for Xbox to just ignore those people. And while I don't use the Kinect that much, I do like the idea that you could have that game like, for instance, Halo Anniversary, where you could just say scan and the Kinect would recognize it. I liked those Kinect controls. I like that little bit of integration that happens. And I think that it could be really cool moving forward as developers have more and more tools at their disposal to build new and interesting ways for us to interact with games. I don't think it's ever going to completely move away from the controller, but where we're at right now is an interesting place. If you're really having a hard time deciding between the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, don't look at the tech specs because those are inconsequential. Don't look at the whole Kinect spying on me thing. That doesn't really make sense either. What you should look at is probably economic reasons. The PlayStation 4 is $100 cheaper. But what you really want to look at is the features of the operating systems and the general experience you're going to get with each console. The Xbox One experience is going to be different from the PlayStation 4 experience. They have different features, some of which you might be really excited about, some of which you might not be too crazy about. And they also have different games. PlayStation exclusive games, Xbox One exclusive games. They're both very good systems. It's not like one or the other is going to fail. It's not like you're going to pick the wrong console. I mean, there's a lot of variables to balance, and you have to look at how it personally affects you. Just don't get sucked into all this sensationalism about tech specs or about how the Kinect is going to steal your identity or something like that. You shouldn't even consider that stuff because honestly, it's just a bunch of baloney. That's right, I said it. Baloney. Me personally, of course I'm going with the Xbox One. I mean, Halo alone is enough to keep me to the Xbox to the end of my days. But there are a lot of other features with the Xbox that I do like. Plus, I really hate the PlayStation's controller. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. So now that I've laid a few things out for you and I've told you I'm an Xbox One guy, tell me your thoughts. Leave it in the comments. Are you going for an Xbox One or are you buying a PlayStation 4? I'd love to hear it. I'd like to know how much of our subscribers are PlayStation people and how much are Xbox people. My initial prediction, I'm saying 90% Xbox just because it's Halo, that's Xbox only. Minecraft, that stuff is all Xbox 360 edition that we do here. But hey, could surprise me. Who knows? Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'm Minolta 1034. This is how you make a fake sip cup sound. See, there's nothing in there. It's completely empty. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Developers and Microsoft to, yes, make more money. Absolutely it would have. And that's not something that everyone agrees with, but I mean, if you worked for Microsoft, you'd probably be okay with it, right? Or maybe you're a Microsoft shareholder. Now, in the short term, that might seem like gamers are being shortchanged. However, in the long term, what it meant